Whoa, high stakes action. What's up, people? There is a lot on the line at the moment. I am actually sitting in with my entire bankroll across 4 tables. Been running kind of good at at 25 cent, 50 cent, and 50 cent dollar. And if you can count the money in play, you can see what I'm up to. So I think I'm at like 1100 or something, and I'm doing really well. This top left 1-2 no limit table. But the main reason I'm even playing 1-2 today is because we're recording these in the afternoon, and so there weren't a lot of lower stakes games going, and I'm moving to Austin next week, and so I've got limited time between the moving logistics to finish out the next batch of videos. And so what I was hoping to do is do a couple of 2 or 3 parters where we can get in some long, really epic sessions. One of the first things that you guys will see is that I fix my HUD. So everything is nice and clean, and I'm used to maneuvering it, and so I won't be timing out fairly often. You'll also see that my friend Stack and Hose from previous videos is about to get 3-bet while I've got aces. And yeah, we're going to go to town. We're going to see what comes up. I don't have as much experience playing 200 NL as I do at 100 NL or lower at this site, but I've funny hand that we may get it all in with this guy X. This is BSX, and I'll explain why in a moment. I don't really suspect that these games play much different than the smaller stakes. I mean, maybe the regs are better, but I don't think I'm playing with tons of regs as denoted from the 53-37 in stats. That's sort of the funny hand. We were 200 big blinds deep and got it all in, and I won. I check raised him on a $10 C bet to 40 with 10-8 on 10-8-4, and he made it 100 with jacks and called it off, which I think is really overplaying jacks there. I mean, I think it's overplaying aces there, but it's not even as bad with aces. I mean, they're very, very similar hand on that type of board texture when you're 200 big blinds deep. And we just got through last video explaining why big pairs value goes down the more money you're playing for, the more money you have behind. So he should have been watching. Maybe he was watching and thought I was messing with him. Thought I was going to, I don't know. Really, with jacks there, if you're going to get it in against me or really any reasonable player, you should call and wait for a blank turn. And if they're a bluff artist, I mean, you may not even want a blank turn because you might want to encourage them to bluff or semi-bluff some kind of gut shot when the flush card comes. It's a little bit more nerve-wracking when you do put the money in, but hey, that's what we play this game for, right? We don't play it for money, we play it for the thrill of the all-in and waiting for the river card. So, Stack and Hose, and where's my note on him? So we're just going to keep 3-betting him in position. I've been using, especially now that I've covered the player names with the pop-up HUD, I've been using the Poker Tracker note, which is no feature, which is much nicer anyway because it keeps everything in one simple place, and it even gives me a little bit of its own kind of read on the situation. Yeah, so I'm moving to Austin, which is exciting, and I'm gonna call 5-7 suited because I want any opportunity to play a pot against this guy. And here I'm going to lead and try and take control of the pot and just take it down. And if he calls, I mean, unless I got a backdoor, whatever card that was that makes me a flush draw. 4-color decks confused me. I guess it was a backdoor spade or a club. Then I continue. Or an 8, obviously. An 8 I might try to even check raise. But with all our cards against a player that loose, I'd probably shut down. So yeah, I'm moving to Austin, and I'm moving in with my little brother who just graduated film school. People want to compare us to the next. They want to say we're going to be the next Coen brothers, and I'll just take that comparison and nod my head. But the Coen brothers are absolutely phenomenal, so we don't deserve that comparison. He just graduated film school and is broke, so it should be a fun adventure. Austin's a cool city, and we're gonna be there right before South by Southwest, which is this awesome film, music, interactive festival. But more importantly, Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing Shakespeare adaptation is playing there, and I'm gonna try to get in and wait online like 8 hours with other crazy nerdy fans of Joss Whedon. But if not, I am going to find a way to use an app to geolocate him and kidnap him and make him tell me all his secrets. And so, if A, don't rat me out. B, if it happens, your incentive not to rat me out is that I will come back here and tell you my secrets. His secrets. Well, they'll be mine at that point. They'll be both of ours if he gets away. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I'm also excited about being able to actually. I'm kind of excited about having. This guy's a small re-raise and kind of pot committed there, but now it's kind of ugly. I'm gonna fold here, given his strange play and pot-sized bet, and so here we begin and hope he overplays another overpair on the top right. Hopefully this doesn't bust us on this table. Nice. Nice. So we're doing well. Yeah, I'm excited. The other thing I'm excited about is like now I have a like pretty good bankroll. What do I even have? Let's count it. It's all on the table. I've got because I'm playing half stacked on the bottom right. We might lose that table, or look for some smaller tables if we get to keep up the 4 tabling action, or we might. I really don't want to jump off these 1-2 tables. They're too good with this dynamic in play with this really loose guy. The X, this is BSX. I hope these are fun for you guys. It's fun for me. Playing a little bit higher full bankroll style in the wake of very tiny stakes, no limit 6 max action. So what do I have? Yeah, I've got 734 on one table and 540. That's like 1300 right there. 1400. I've got like almost 1500. I've almost tripled my bankroll. Now, do not follow in my footsteps with this bankroll management style. It's terribly bad habit, and I could just as easily have busted my account before I loaded this up, and then I would have had to get more money on and been making these videos later in the week. And down. Well, I've busted my bankroll on this site, mainly playing PLO, but several times before I've been able to run it up like this. And odds are, if I continue pushing my luck and start to play like 1-2 heads up, or even 2-4 6 max, which I might have done in my early days of online poker, just trying to run it up as high as possible. And sometimes I did because the games were super soft, which they could be on here. In certain times of the day with the right game selection, odds are I'm going to go broke. So as you'll see, I'm calling 10-9 offsuit here because I'm going to hit a straight. But no, I want to play as many pots as possible against X This Is BX, and because he overplays hands and is willing to give me a lot of money. So it's tempting to try to check raise that turn, to be honest, and I'll sort of mix it up between the two plays. I just don't know, given that he checked the flop, I don't know how often I'm looking at a made hand, how often I'm looking at a hand that is going to call a bet, maybe he's just going to check back the turn again. So I kind of, with my straight, want to maximize the amount of money I can make on the whole, and when in doubt, you should be the aggressor. Um, what else is worth talking about? Pocket Kings. I guess what's worth talking about is I'm running extremely good. Also, extremely good today. That like my my like junk two pair hands against over pairs have held up very easily. I can get counterfeited in those spots. I'm getting over pairs fairly often. I've got some like super fruit green tea that's pretty tasty right now, and I'm drinking out of my Like a Boss black mug, which was a Christmas present. I enjoy it. Interesting. I don't really know what to make of that lead on the bottom right, so I'm just gonna call the turn and evaluate the bet size on the river. I don't want to lose to a junk 5 here, and I'll just pot the river on the off chance he has like a 10 or a 7, and like the weird thing is like what do you do against a check raise given what do you do against a check raise given how shallow I am? You probably fold even if I was deeper and he check raise and played it like that. But it's such a strange line to like check call the flop, then lead, then check raise the river. I guess it's just usually a 5 in those situations. That's usually what you're looking at, but it's kind of hard to have a 5. I wonder if I want to isolate this guy here. I think I do, rather than play this multi-way. I'm torn. What would you guys do here? It's real tempting to just isolate. I think you want to isolate with the super deep stacks with a hand like this, but when you... Oh, that would have been so pretty if that was a 10. I'd probably turn a 10. This is a dangerous board if I turn a 10. And I'd be fairly worried and not looking to put lots of money in. And this guy leads. It's just like really strange to lead. It makes no sense, but like why would you just lead out with a super strong hand? But then again, leading is probably the best way to mask your hand. And on boards like this, when you have 4-way action, you're only going to get money in against somebody who's just like absolutely terrible, can't fold ace king, can't fold aces, or somebody who's got like an action piece of that flop, like kings or queen jack, queen 10, something like that. And even then, you got to be worried when you have bad trips and a lot of money starts going in with that kind of pre-flop action. Oh yeah, I love these gut shots because they're gut shots to the nuts. What am I getting check raised here by? God, the time bank is so frustrating. You don't have much time, do you? I think I'm looking at like pocket 4s right there, or ace 4. It's very likely because I haven't seen this guy bluff, but that is a good spot to bluff. He got both of us to fold. It was tempting to call to hit a jack, but it was a little bit too expensive when I didn't really think there's a reasonable. I didn't have a very good reason to think that he's bluffing. So really, I'm just calling to hit a gut shot to try and win all his money, which we're not really deep enough to. I'm gonna 3-bet on the bottom right. Ooh, I didn't realize he was half stacked. I don't like that play. Check raise city. So I'm seeing some of my friends this weekend, my good pals, including some DC coaches, Foxwoods Fiend and White Lime, and I'm also seeing Chuck, who DeucesCracked, formerly known as, I think he goes more by Chuck around these parts these days. But if you guys are a 6-month or a 1-year subscriber, which if you take your game seriously, I would recommend, and you really are willing to like work hard on your training and watch a lot of videos and work really actively and diligently, I would definitely recommend those memberships, obviously, because you get a discount on it's a discounted rate. You lock it in. We've pretty much always had consistently high quality content, and the reason I mention Chuck is that he's doing this. There are 2 podcasts available now to subscribers who are 6-month and 1 year. One is Small Stakes Edge. Actually, Chuck's in both of them. One's Small Stakes Edge with S Thief Josh, who's like a very math oriented, one of the best small stakes grinders that I know, and smartest, and a great teacher. And Wilton Tilt, who obviously he was one of my earliest students. We did Printy Rating together, which is like that really well-known heads up series that if you're looking to learn heads up, learn from our past selves who put a lot of work and time into making those video series. They were doing live Poker Edge together, so you can get a lot of podcast value from listening to them, and they really are, I think, some of the they're underrated as players, but they're some of the best teachers in poker, in my opinion. I mean, we've been playing and teaching since the beginning of the poker boom, and we've worked very hard on our videos and on our coaching. We've got a lot of experience, and I just think there's a lot to be learned from those guys. No 3. What is this? Nothing to be learned from me not hitting a 3. Absolutely nothing. So we're gonna fold. We're gonna fold like the little she-devils we are. So if I happen to miss anything on any of these 4 tables that you think is worth talking about, obviously you know the drill, assuming you've watched this. I mean, maybe you saw that this is a little bit higher stakes, so you're watching this the first one you're watching, but I really am a proponent in actively engaging with these ghost videos. If you see me do something that I miss or that you don't understand or even want to just discuss or even want to theorize, like change the board texture, change the action, and start a discussion around something that you thought about while you were watching the video. Really, anything is fair game, because these videos, they're both a narrative that's kind of fun to follow. watch me play, see what happens see how I play a live session, see how I think about the game, see how I make decisions under pressure, try and take something from my tactics and apply them to your own. But we've also got this. These videos are just a launching pad for further discussion and growth. And of course, you've got the ongoing narrative of me trying to build a bankroll and keep my skills sharp and see if I can hang and be a winner in these games, which honestly, I mean, I haven't played more than 5,000 hands at this point on this site, but I'm most definitely a winner. The games did not get that much harder. There's still tons of terrible players. Players have like kind of tightened up in certain spots is kind of my take on the general. Games have gotten harder, but a lot of people still make like fundamental mistakes that separate the small stakes regs and the micro stakes regs from the mid stakes regs and from the high stakes regs. And they're just like, they're kind of like boneheaded type of mistakes. Here it's kind of tricky because this guy doesn't 3-bet very often. 3-bet from the blinds, and I'm short stacked. I'm just going to muck here. I think that's a little bit tight, but the right play. Oh, I would have hit the 10. So, did he? We gotta check out that last hand. So I want to see if there was a protected side pot. Oh no. That guy just made the mistake that I didn't. So, yeah, I mean, once we put the question of whether I'm a winner in these games out of our system or out of my system, then it just becomes amassing empirical proof and seeing how far I can go and the challenges that that I and we face together along the climb, and just continually sharpening our game. Here's kind of dangerous if I get raised. I mean, if I get raised, I'm calling because I'm assuming that I'm looking at a bluff fairly often, and I'm not going to keep betting because I really don't expect too many worse hands to call. I've got kicker problems against other aces, and I may face like a bet from a club draw or a pure float, which isn't out of the question here. And on the river, I'm going to check call as I expect this guy who's overvalued hands before. He's going to bet his flushes. He may bet his he may have a deuce. He may bet his bigger aces because he likes to overplay the hands, but obviously he's also going to bet bluff some of the times. If I don't know how many bluffs that he does have there. I think if he may have floated, we don't really even know how often he just pure floats an ace high flop. But I mean, given these stacks and his sort of proclivities, I got to think that he's potentially prone to it. I'm betting that amount on the river there because I want to try to get a crying call from a 10. So what are we looking at? Three-way action. I'm in the blinds. I'm going to lead here. I like leading with this short stack in between because I don't really know too much about how this guy is going to play on these totally dry boards. I'm a little bit worried that he's going to raise there, but not too worried. And I'm just going to really keep betting this and try to get this guy all in at this point with the stack size. I think like with Queen 9, the worst that shows up with the jacks. I think the worst thing that tough thing with playing a little bit loose out of position to try and get in more pots with this dude. Those are the breaks. Sometimes you lose hands like that. I think if I do check and Alfie C bets, well, I guess if X, this is BX, X calls, I could either check raise and evaluate the action, getting it all in against Alfie, or just call and see what Alfie and BSX does on the turn. If BSX continues, Alfie bets, then I could potentially find a fold and get out cheaply. As I talk this out, I kind of like that line of thinking slightly better. And this min bet on table 1 is kind of, I'm just going to continue calling the small bets, treat it as a check. So going back to that queen 9 hand, the reason that I lead is to try and isolate Alfie. You can do that by checking too. And as I talk it out, I think checking might be a slightly better line, or it could even be significantly better because it allows me the same ability to isolate Alfie, but it also gives me the ability to see what X this is BX does too, before making my decisions. And when Queen 9 is like a powerful hand, given that stack size in the middle and given how loose people are playing, but it's not near the nuts. Obviously, it's a high value hand when you got a 9 deuce 3 flop, but you're not dealing with two 100 big blind or 150 big blind stacks. You're dealing with a short stack and then a bigger stack, but it's not a nut hand. So even with a nut hand leading is leading, you can have a better argument for leading because you just want to get money in. You're not really worried about how it goes in, and you want to just take the line that affords you the most flexibility and allows you to get as much money in as possible from various people. And if you check and then come alive and you're not playing against the right players, then you may have some issues with smarter, tighter players being able to find folds against you because you've suddenly gotten really active. And that's something and this guy doesn't seem to be aggressive at all, so I'm just going to muck to him on that board, putting him on some kind of king or crazy ass aces that played weirdly. I think what I was just saying is much worth mentioning to tighter players who feel like they lack creative lines, or they don't get paid off enough, or they're worried about scaring people away when they've got strong hands. I think that's a very valid concern against thinking regulars. They have your stats and they know that, well, you don't wake up on certain board textures unless you've got real strong hands behind you, in which case you can certainly find good places to bluff in those situations. And I would start adding more bluffs is the point of my story. I always call with ace high in these situations because I think they've got a lot of undercards that keeps betting. I've got the gut shot. It's a cheap C bet. We're kind of deep, and also he's kind of loose. It's a loose call out of position, but I don't really like to fold very often when I defend the big blind because it gives my opponent license to continuation bet all day. That said, let's look at this guy's 3-bet. It's very low. It's only 4 over about 200 hands, so we can easily fold king queen off there. If it was a bit higher, we could probably 4-bet bluff it. We gotta imagine if Yo keeps betting, he's got at least kings. He checks the turn. I kind of put him on uh, a club. But yeah, wow. Oh wow, he three bet. I guess because so he three bets king ten off against because X this is BX is so loose. So that's a good play. He's certainly a slight thinker. And here we'll on table one we'll with more players in we'll take the check line and see what unfolds rather than the lead line, which has some merit as well, but we're going to switch it up. So this is a spot where we can call one bet, but are very wary if there starts to be more money going in. And on this king on the turn, I like leading rather than checking. The reason being, it's I'm not gonna get a king to fold, and I'm gonna put one bet in if a king is in the hand. King's gonna bet if I check, but if I improve with an ace, an eight, or a club, then I'm gonna want to be able to put even more money in to get the king to call again. Can't imagine she looked betting this river. So strange. I mean, I imagine maybe she looked has like a six or even a full house or quads checked back. Very strange. Yeah. Given that they check back the flop, the fact that they show up with quads is not very surprising. Quads or a boat simply because they would not bet a king on the river. Probably would have bet ace king on the flop. Ace king is the only king that I could imagine betting the river there. Make a weak C bet. It's good enough. Oh. Flopping sets on the bottom right. I think we're going to hit one with a 7 on the bottom left, too. So what do you do if you get raised here is the question. Let's see how often. We're just going to 3-bet here and try to get it in. We're going to fold the 7s to the short stack. So let's look at this guy's stats. He doesn't fold to continuation bets a lot, but we don't have that many hands on him. He calls the C-bet really often. Only raised it once. Guess if I did see that, which I didn't really, I may have elected to call because if he's calling very often and not folding very often, then he's either raising with a king or he's bluffing, and if he's raising with a king, I'm going to likely get his money anyway. And I just say I'm playing these threes like against a lot of players. I'd be check raise. I'd be 3-betting those threes and playing them much more aggressively out of position. But I'm playing so passively because this guy has shown the propensity to easily put a lot of money in and overplay hands, and he's really loose. So I'm basically playing fit or fold against him. I may pick on him in position, especially if I got some big draws with equity and I find myself in a pot where it looks like I've got the ability to barrel them off a weak hand. Because they're loose, then while it's hard to make them fold, they also get to the river with a very wide range of hands, and they cannot stand a lot of action. So sometimes you genuinely have to bluff those guys for the same reasons. Their range is so weak that it cannot stand 3 barrels. Wow. What was the action there on table 2? Check that out momentarily. Do not want to time out. So Pimpin' Dogs with the see, Poker Tracker's so great. Already makes the note for me. Pimpin' Donks with the aggro crag there. Oh man. Looks like XX this is BX is bouncing. Had his cake and he doesn't want to eat it too. So we got an aggro crag player with Pimpin' Donks, 3-betting the loose guy with 5-6 suited and check raising all in. Check raising all in is a fine play there. He gets bluffs to bet and gets it in with a lot of equity even if he's not bluffing. But I'll just muck the 4s even though I think I could be ahead there. I'm not going to tangle with that lead on the bottom left. The 5-6 off 3-bet kind of 5-6 suited 3-bet Lo Siento kind of wishy-washy. Lo Siento, I'm still talking Spanish a little bit. Had a great time in Chile, by the way. Very South American. Went down there, spoke a lot of Spanglish. Had some trouble getting back home. Land, lost my luggage. Don't fly land if you can help it. Or you speak really good Spanish. My Spanish is kind of it's okay. I can communicate. I surprisingly remember a lot considering I haven't really spoke it often since high school. But yeah, my buddy teaches English down there. He's been there for 3 years. He's fluent now. He knows a lot of people. Had a barbecue atop this sweet hill in Santiago. That was fun. It's like summer there, so hey, 100-degree weather, really solid. Went to this wealthy city on the beach called Zapallar. Alright, we're gonna call this check raise and get it in on a blank turn. That turn is not so blank, however. So we will likely just call a bet, see if we can improve, and potentially fold this hand on the river. Pains me. Pains me to do it, but I'm going to fold there. I mean, my hand is essentially Jack 10 because I can't expect a player, unknown player. I mean, he's kind of loose, but he could just be totally bluffing, of course, and just some sort of hopeless bluff. Which, kudos to him if that's the case. I would like to compile some more reads. Maybe I just got a bad turn card there. But I can't expect him to play ace 10 like that. If I can't expect him to play ace 10, then, I mean, kings is a really big fold to be making. I don't know if I would make it, but most players with ace 10, they slow down on the turn. They don't continue to bet it. Unless, I guess, of course, he had the ace of clubs. That's a tough one. What would you guys have done if you played it the way that I played that hand? I think I'll post that one. So here's a good spot to float when I've got the gut shot. It's hard for this guy to really have a strong hand. He could have a set, could have a big 10. Now I've got the ass end of the straight draw, which should be good, plus the ace of hearts, so I'm going to make a bluff if a heart comes on the river. And I've got that ace now, which is really interesting, because if he continues firing, do I make the call? Can I put him on a bluff? Hard to say. 44, he bets 44. Oh, this is really ugly bet. Don't have to be good very often. So 44 is like, what is he thinking? He's not bluffing for 44, and if he were... tough one. I think that was the right fold, though. He's not bluffing for 44, because if he were, what would he be bluffing with? It's not the bet size, but it's just the act of bluffing in general. What would he be bluffing with? So that causes me to fold to pretty much any bet. But the fact that, well, he's also tight and doesn't seem to be very out of line. Let's see if we can see what raise C bet. 1 out of 3. We don't have many stats on this guy's check raising. But what makes me more likely to fold, given that $44 bet, I suppose you could have king 10, given how loose I am. I'm curious what you guys would think of that hand too. I'm going to post that one too. So let me make a note of this on my other monitor. So we're going to post the king king hand, king king fold, and ace 3 fold. Alright, got it. We're going to get discussion going on those hands. But the reason that I think that the $44 bet points to a fold more than it does a call, even though we're getting a good price. And yeah, maybe we could reason that he's got ace king or something. Sorry, not ace king. He's got king 10 or something like that. Is that when that ace falls, and let's say he's got a straight, or he's got 2 pair, or he's got a set, and it's very possible that he has 2 pair. Then he bets so small because he thinks that's the only way I'm going to call with a 1 pair hand, because the price is so small, because it's hard for him to be bluffing, and that ace would kill his action if I've got a 10, which is likely what he's putting me on. I mean, he's putting me on a range, and my range is generally weak if he's got a strong hand. And so he bets small to give me a good price to call, because he knows that he can't be bluffing fairly often, and he knows that it's hard for me to call anything big in a spot where he can't be bluffing when I don't have a super strong hand either, when I've got a weak range. So that's my rationale. We're going to post it and see if I can defend it against other thinkers. And we'll play like an orbit again here. And then what I'm going to do is split up some of this money and get some new tables going. Stacking hose with on the bottom right with the check raise that we know is generally always strength, and this should slow him down. And then bet on the river. Can't really fold the turn there. But he's not really going to try and move me off an ace. So maybe I could. By the river we know for sure. And we can fold. So it looks like I've survived this insanity. I'm down a little bit since peak count at the beginning of the session. Got about 1100. Not bad. Not bad bankroll for these micro stakes. If I stay away from the 1-2 until I get closer to 2K, that's going to be a feather in my cap. Can we flop one last set? Perhaps we can. But not on this. Not on this board. We must give it away. Ace King, solid way to go out. Going out in style. Bada bing, bada boom. Alright, that's it. See you guys next week. Hope you guys enjoy this venture into, oh shit, I guess we got, excuse my language, I said the SH word. I guess we got 2 more hands, but yeah, I hope you guys, I'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoy this video. See you next week. A little bit higher stakes this time. Next video, which I'm actually going to record right away, and then post these hands that I discussed later in the forums. Next video will probably be lower stakes, so I don't put my entire bankroll in jeopardy. Yeah, post your thoughts, questions, etc. Talk to you in the thread.